LGB. 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 LGB.
They say LGB everywhere I go. LGB. What it means, I don't know. LGB. Whatever it is. LGB. Kamala, help me, please. Please.
Alrighty then.
Thank you. LGB.
That's let's go, Brandon, right?
LGB.
This means let's go, Brandon.
No. LGB.
Sounds like let's go, Brandon, I guess.
LGB. All right. Let's go, Brandon.
I am Cornholio.
Chant LGB. Right wing and left wing. LGB. Go, you know the thing. LGB. If you don't sing that back. LGB. And you ain't black. LGB.
Let's go, Brandon.
LGB.
Let's go, Brandon.
LGB. Let's go, Brandon.
FJB. Let's go, Brandon.
I'm Joe Biden, and I
Forgot
this message.
Greetings, my dear friends, and welcome to another episode of Reading Epic Threads. I'm your host, Patrick Gunnels, joining you from Pensacola, Florida, this April 4th, 2024 at 3:02 p.m. Central Daylight Time. Today, I've got a guest. Hat tip to Taylor French for introducing us. I'm going to be bringing on Patrick Riley, the CEO of Reaper Financial. Before I do that, I'm going to read a few words from the white paper. And let's go ahead and start that right here. This is from Reaper Financial. So it's Reaper Financial LLC and XRP Ledger Project. This is the white paper version 3.1. So I'm going to read the first, just the concept, and then we'll bring in Patrick Riley. When Satoshi Nakamoto created Bitcoin, he wasn't simply designing a financial program. Bitcoin was the first solid object in a digital universe. Whether Satoshi Nakamoto was fully aware of it or not, in the creation of successful cryptocurrency, he became the grand architect of a burgeoning universe. Though the digital universe or metaverse may be grand and beautiful, there are lessons from our own universe that we must heed. Permanence breeds contempt. If we lived forever in our current life, would we still value life? Or, as Reaper Financial contends, does death itself give value to life? It took millions of years for the earth to learn this lesson and evolve the bacteria necessary to decompose fungi and plants. But in that decomposition was the nutrients, minerals, and DNA that gave birth to new forms of life. The digital universe has been flourishing with unchecked growth in the same way as that failing fiat system. Without the duality of life and death, it has become polluted, full of waste and projects that harm the health of the ecosystem and, far worse, have at times victimized those who spent their finite time and resources on them. The Reaper understands that death is also sanitation. A universe, nation, or city can only reach its true potential when there is a mechanism for maintaining sustainability. Death is the natural order by which creation is maintained. And on that note, let's bring in the CEO of Reaper Financial, Patrick Riley. Patrick, how are you?
I'm doing great, Patrick. Sounds a little weird with Patrick, so I'm just going to call you Mr. Gunnels.
Works for me. Works for me. I'll call you Patrick because you're the guest of honor here today. And you could also just call me Pat, or you could call me Gunnels. People call me all sorts of things, so just feel free.
Sure.
That was quite an intro on your white paper. Starting off the sales pitch with, let's talk about death. So help my audience understand, who is Patrick Riley and what is Reaper Financial?
So myself and a little bit about me, I come from a military background. I was a combat medic with civil affairs, PSYOPs, the last 4 or 5 years of my career, and before that as a regular Army, a platoon sergeant and a staff sergeant. I got out due to the vaccine, and I launched my business about a year out from when I actually retired from the military. Hopefully that sticks. There's a little bit of back and forth about whether that'll stick right now. So as I kind of went through my time in the military and deployments, I developed a certain relationship with death and a certain understanding of the lack of permanence of this physical 3D construct that we live in, but still the permanence of the soul. And I really embraced it. And somewhere along the lines, I gained the nickname Reaper as a combat medic, which was basically because we had a long journey from our site down in Mindanao up to where you would actually reach a level 3 or a role 3 hospital. Basically, if I put my hands on you, you were dead because we had a long trip. So it just kind of stuck, and I took it into a whole nother world as I launched the business.
Gotcha. Yeah. So why is it that death is so important to this new economic system that we're looking at?
So if you don't have anything that expires, or if you can simply create and create and create, then eventually all that really does is it's inflation, and it's going to degrade the value of everything within that digital universe. So with Bitcoin, of course, we know that it's limited to 21 million, but there's no limit on other cryptocurrencies out there. There's no limit on somebody copying a Bitcoin and making a Bitcoin 2.0. And I know there's probably 1,000 different Bitcoin forks out there now. And because of that, it limits the actual value of what is being created. And we can't necessarily find a true value for Bitcoin or for any of those other currencies until we have a mechanism to say that it is not going to be an object of permanence and it's going to die at some point.
That's funny that you talk about this concept of permanence, because when I first started buying shitcoins on random exchanges back in 2017, I did think to myself, well, everybody tells me that this thing can go to zero, but how does it go to zero? They just sit out there. They're blockchains. They've been spun up. And the thing about blockchain is it's like permanent ink for the internet. It stays. It is permanent.
Absolutely. It's like having a baby. If the project developers aren't there to raise it and stay with it throughout its entire life, then it's going to die. Now, it's going to die one way or the other, but will it die a graceful death where we purchased it at market for the market limit sell orders and kill it ourselves? Or is it going to die because it went to zero and now there's a bunch of people holding an empty bag and a lot of regrets?
Yeah, it's pretty horrible. I have cryptos out there that I just don't even pay attention to anymore because they went so close to zero. I suppose there's some chance that somebody decides to pick up a project that died on the vine back in the day. But once something goes from, millions of dollars of volume to $150 of volume in a week, that's just death. It looks like death. And there are tons of people who put in plenty of money and they don't have anything to show for it. So you say that this Reaper protocol, or however it works, can help solve that problem. How does that work?
So we actually call it the Riley economic system now, and it's actually one of 5 projects using the RES. So the way that the protocol works is basically we start with 100 million tokens, and then we mint 1 million tokens per month. Now, I know that sounds like inflation, and it is, but it's actually a reducing inflation every month. So the first month, that's 1%. Next month, it's 0.99%, and so on and so forth. So you're actually releasing less.
So it'll go 100 months, and then there's no more inflation?
No, so it goes infinitely. So
okay.
Now there is a protocol in place once we get to 1 billion, but we'll both be long dead by then. but it would take 8,600 years for us to have the same supply as Ripple, for example, or XRP.
Okay.
Now, when we mint those 1 million per month, we're selling those 1 million tokens at market price, whatever the buy limit orders are. That's what we're selling into, and we're generating funds. Now, with those funds, we're able to action a utility. So the holders of RPR token, they go into our website and they vote that they want to burn a specific token. So if they wanted to burn Ethereum or burn Bitcoin or burn XRP or any of the other many little smaller coins, we mostly host smaller coins for now, they vote towards it, and one token equals one vote, and that stays across all the different RES platforms. So now, because they've actioned a utility, we're going to use those funds generated to go out and carry out the protocol based on their wishes as the holder of that token. So they haven't lost anything. We're going out and we're purchasing those tokens at market, and we're going to burn them. And we're doing that with 50% of the funds raised. We're also, with the other 50%, we're using a portion for a permanent drip fund. The drip is the distributed reaper income payment. So that's basically a ongoing payment in XRP to holders of RPR. And then the other 25% is currently a stimulus. So we built up a nest egg basically of about 500,000 XRP right now, which we're going to be using in the automated market makers, which, you know, the fix is coming on the 11th. And using that AMM protocol, we'll be able to generate interest that is completely apart from those sales. And we are going to pay that interest out in the form of XRP to RPR holders. As that interest is being paid out, we're also still putting that other 50% towards the principal that is producing the interest. So that interest continues to grow end over end every 2 weeks. So in that way, we're able to sustain this. And it's also, you know, it's an XRP backed asset that has full liquidity of 500,000 XRP right now. And it, of course, as the price of XRP goes up, the liquidity in Reaper goes up with it.
Okay. So I have a bunch of people in my audience who don't understand crypto in general yet, much less protocols on different ledgers and different blockchains. And I think I might even be using the term blockchain wrong there, because I'm not sure exactly what the protocol is with your system. And I know that XRP doesn't really qualify as a blockchain, does it? Or does it?
It does. Well, the XRP ledger is its own blockchain.
It is a blockchain specifically. Okay, great. But if I were to try to boil this down, what Reaper does to a non-crypto-centric audience, I would say that you're creating your own crypto that you inflate at approximately 1% each month. And that inflation creates new coins, which you then sell on the open market. And then with the money in, I suppose, dollars that you get, or XRP?
XRP.
Okay, so you then sell it in exchange for XRP. So you can buy RPR in exchange for XRP. There's basically that currency, that currency pair exists. And so you take that money, and half of it you use to burn some crypto.
Yes.
Right. So in the most simple terms possible, what does it mean to burn a crypto, and why is it good?
So that means we are purchasing and destroying that amount of the supply, and it is gone forever. So it can never be sold onto the market again. And because it can never be sold again, that is the same for that cryptocurrency as if some other whale or some other investor came along and purchased it and simply lost the keys to their wallet, or they never sold it and never could sell it.
Okay, so what they mean is, okay, so just to the audience, that means that they're going and using XRP to go purchase this coin that has been voted on by the members of the RPR community. And you go and buy it. So they, it says, okay, we want you to buy Ethereum. Just for grins, And so then XRP goes, the Reaper system uses XRP to go buy Ethereum and then takes those Ether tokens and destroys them forever. And the purpose of that is what?
So as you reduce the total supply, the demand for that supply is still the same or at times greater. So as we're reducing supply and demand is increasing relative to supply, that's called supply elasticity in a traditional MBA sense. So that price elasticity is going to inevitably raise the value of the remaining tokens or the remaining ETH that would be out there in circulation.
So the purpose is that the members can vote to use the economic power of Reaper to boost the price of an existing altcoin.
That's correct. So they can do it to increase scarcity. It doesn't guarantee price immediately. Price is a elastic effect of increasing scarcity.
Mm-hmm. So what the community could go to the well a bunch of different times and just month after month target a specific crypto for the purpose of burning a bunch of its tokens, thus increasing scarcity with the hopeful after effect of increasing price.
That's correct. And we have seen success with this model. We've been going for over 2 years now. One of our most successful we've seen is Schmeckles token on the XRP ledger, which has, it started with a supply of 1 million and it's down now to about 590,000. So we've seen about 40% of the total supply burnt over the last 2 years. And their price was initially, when we started this, hovering around 2 cents, something like that. And it's in this recent month or two, it's reached as high as 2.5 XRP per Schmeckles. So it's been a very responsive elasticity for Schmeckles due to its low supply.
Yeah, I guess you could affect a low supply coin like that. So how do you boosting the price or the scarcity of an altcoin? What's the value in that generally? And is it just good for people who are on the RPR system? How do you envision that as making things better for this ecosystem?
So it does help anybody who happens to be a part of that token, but it also breaks out of the 4-year Bitcoin halving cycle. So currently the entire market waits for a bull and a bear cycle that largely revolves around Bitcoin's halving. What we're doing it every 2 weeks. So we are creating very small, basically micro markets that are on a 2-week cycle that allow people to come in and trade and see liquidity, exit liquidity if they're hosting a sell order, or the opportunity to purchase Reaper at the same time. And it creates a velocity of money that is not necessarily there in most bear markets.
Okay, so velocity of money for the purpose of improving the value of, RPR.
So it helps RPR in the sense that RPR is building a XRP backing, and it's also paying a passive XRP income to RPR holders.
Yep, that's okay. I get it. So it's kind of like acquiring some of the benefits of traditional banking through a system that uses their existing membership to go out into the altcoin world and improve the scarcity of certain ones. And then it's a system that works on faith. So yeah, it can totally work.
Yeah.
This XRP adoption thing that it promotes is particularly enticing to me because I'm an XRP believer because I've actually used it and it just works. Whereas Bitcoin also works. There's no question about that, but it's slower and it's expensive. And I know there are a bunch of second layer protocols that are supposed to fix that stuff, and I'm sure it's good stuff, but XRP comes out of the box, essentially instantaneous transactions with almost no fees.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and now what we're doing next with Reaper is where things actually get exciting. So, right now we have it where we're doing burn as a service and every vote counts. So just to be clear for your community, it's not whoever wins the top of the vote, it's whatever percentage of the vote they got. That's the percentage of the funds that go towards purchase and burning of those tokens. So everything voted for gets burnt.
Okay.
And then we pay the passive XRP. But what we're doing now is called debt reaping. So we are in a beta testing phase for debt reaping, where basically you go on our website and you would KYC and AML, which is you go in and basically register. It's banking regulations, and then you connect through the Plaid plugin to your bank accounts, which hold liabilities. So your liabilities are things like your mortgage, your student loan, your car note, personal loans, anything that's a debt aside from a credit card, basically would be considered a liability within our system. So now you can vote based on your own personal holdings towards your personal debt, and you do not lose any funds for doing this vote. And we are going to be making an ACH or wire transfer payment directly to that debt on your behalf every 2 weeks. So to put that in perspective, if you were to have a extra $100 towards your mortgage every month for the life of a 30-year mortgage, you'd actually end up paying off that mortgage about 7 years early, simply because the reduction in interest rate. So that is something we're in the beta of right now, and when that comes to XRP ledger adoption, the world has $400 trillion worth of debt right now, and that's what we're going after.
What an interesting model. Now, I want to see if we can find a way to make sure everybody in the audience understands what you just said. So, all right, the Plaid system. Let's start with that, guys. Plaid is a way to make applications talk to your mainstream banks. So when you log into your Bank of America account, Plaid can log in with you at the same time and give you like functionalities to interact with your Bank of America account and have it talk to applications. Like I have my Bank of America account tied into Locals using Plaid, and a bunch of different ways that you can use Plaid. And so this connects with Plaid. Doesn't that mean that you had to get some kind of buy-in from the big banks?
We do not have buy-in from big banks. We are completely self-funded with no venture capital.
What I mean is to be able to use the Plaid platform.
So basically it's the KYC and AML compliance with FinCEN.
So all you have to do is comply with those things, and anybody can go use Plaid?
So if Plaid approves you to use their system, so they are going to do some digging themselves and ensure that the product you're working on is a legitimate product that is compliant with Financial Center and Financial Crimes Enforcement Division and KYC AML regulations.
All right, awesome, wonderful. Okay, so this interacts with Plaid. Now, within the banking system, we have these liabilities, we have debts. So like somebody has a car note. Does a car note fall into that category, or a mortgage?
Yep.
And so how exactly does a member vote against their own debt? So they can vote to, instead of buying some altcoin, they're going to buy some of their own debt.
Basically, yes. So the funds never go directly to that customer, only the passive XRP. The funds go directly to that bank account and to that debtor account. So it's really a B2B transaction or business to business transaction. So when they pull that in, what we have is their account number, their routing number, and any reference numbers, as well as basically their permission to make payments on their behalf. So when they give us this information, we're now able to send a batch of payments through a payment processor who we work with. And that payment processor is then sending from a large pool of money divided out into those debts throughout all those different banks.
That is very novel and innovative. What made you want to do this on the debt side? How do you think that helps in general?
Well, so I don't think most people realize just how far from freedom the common citizen really is right now. So when you start looking at the amount of taxation versus income and the really the adjutant taxes that are in addition, so after you've paid your 40% to the Fed and up to 10% on state, and now you've got your sales tax, and then you've got your capital gains and your property, and so on and so forth. And it really stacks up to paying between 86 to 97% of your income that you make on taxes, right? Included in that is the debts that you're taking out, because those debts are not actually there's no real money. When you go to a bank and you take out a mortgage, it's not the bank taking money out of their pot to give it to you. They are creating that money with your future labor and your future payments, and they are selling it to you usually at about 150% of the price of the mortgage on top of what you actually think you're paying. So a $300,000 house is going to cost you $720,000 over 30 years. So right now, what you do is you sell your future to be able to afford a present. You're selling your next 30 years. You're selling yourself into slavery for 30 years, because if you don't work, you lose your house, you lose a place for your family, and you lose your safety, shelter, so on and so forth, right? And that's the system we live in right now. So when we flip that on its head and we say, okay, well, you've done work in the past. You've now taken that money you earned and you put it into this token that can make payments towards your debts. Now you are using the work and the labor you have done in the past to afford yourself a future, instead of selling your future to afford a present.
So when people ask you what it is that the Reaper token, the Reaper system does, do you ever find that you have to explain yourself a whole bunch of different times until they understand it? Like when I try to explain crypto in general to my parents, they didn't get it at all. And I had to explain it over this way and that way, but wait a minute, but you can't hold it. Can you give me a physical Bitcoin right now? Was one of the questions that I got, and stuff like that. And what you're doing is you're taking crypto and you're adding a different layer of abstraction right on top of that. And that makes it even more complex to explain. And I'm starting to get it, but how would you dumb this down if you had to?
Yeah. So, I mean, really it comes down to, initially, this is the trust layer, and this is people understanding how it works, and the how is not that important as the why and the what, right? So nobody cares if your emails work on HTML and JavaScript and TypeScript and all those different things, right? They just care that it works and you can send a message and, talk to each other. So when it comes to Reaper, obviously this is one of the more complicated and more advanced cryptocurrencies out there, and it's one of, as I said, multiple different projects we're running in this ecosystem. But the what it does is you get to self-custody and hold your own funds and earn a passive income while also destroying your debt and reducing your debt end over end. So that's the what, and the why is to set yourself free from the labor market and gain financial freedom and independence in your life.
Let's talk about the nitty gritty. Like, let's suppose I wanted to put some monthly amount into Reaper right now. How would I start and go about doing that? I could share my screen or whatever if you want me to, or you could share your screen if you want to show how one goes about doing that.
So the way you would do this initially is by downloading the Xaman or XAMAN app, or any other XRP ledger app that allows trust lines. So any XRP compliant wallet is going to allow you to hold trust lines, but we recommend Xaman. So that is an app you can get in the Play Store. It's for
okay, so I would need to put it on my smartphone, not my computer.
Yep, on your smartphone.
Okay.
And then once you've downloaded that app, you would have to initially fund it with 10 XRP as your wallet reserve. And just to be clear, this is a third-party app. This is not a Reaper Financial app. So now once you've funded the wallet reserve, you would also need to set up a trust line. The trust line for RPR can be set up through any of the DEXs. So the easiest way is xpmarket.com. So if you go to xpmarket.com, you would log in with your Xaman application or your Xaman wallet. And once you have logged in, you would be able to set that trust line. It would be a 2 XRP reserve for the trust line. and you're good to go. You can now buy RPR for XRP, as well as any of our other ecosystem tokens or anything else on the XRP ledger.
Amazing. So, and then after that, how do I figure out how to vote? Where do I go?
So you go to reaper.financial, and at the top of our website, second button from the top right, there's a voting tab. And once you click that voting tab, it's going to connect you to our application, which is currently the beta. And you can see here, these are the static votes. So we do a reaping, as we call it, every 2 weeks. But the vote is actually static and it sticks. So you only have to really go in and vote once unless you want to change something. So this shows different tokens that have votes towards them that are apart from the debt. And then it shows a total votes right now that is debt and tokens is 88 million votes out of a circulating supply of roughly 126 million RPR currently.
Okay, so and this array of little percentages here.
Yep. So those are the percentages of the reaping funds that will be used to purchase and destroy or burn each of those tokens based on the vote.
Fantastic. I want to talk about this more because I think I see what you're doing. I want to make sure to understand it really well and maybe read the white paper closely. But projects like this are so fascinating. And the fact that you're paired up with XRP says a lot, in my opinion, about which technology you think is the most scalable. And that's absolutely a big thing. All right, so everybody, now the website, it's important to remember this one. It's reaper.financial. That's all you got to do is type that into your browser. You can get all the resources there. And I'm going to continue talking about this. And Patrick, thank you so much for joining me. And I'm going to close out the show. If you just stick around for just 2 seconds, I'll just talk to you afterwards to get some information to put in the description. So guys, thank you so much for watching today. What a fascinating discussion about an absolutely innovative blockchain protocol on the XRP ledger. And I really hope to talk to Patrick again soon about that stuff. So anyway, I'm going to wrap up the show now because I got a wedding to go to here at Pensacola. So let us pray. Saint Michael the Archangel, defend us in battle. Be our protection against the wickedness and snares of the devil. May God rebuke him, we humbly pray. And do thou, O Prince of the heavenly host, cast into hell all evil spirits who prowl about the world seeking the ruin of souls. Amen. I love you all. Thank you so much for being here, and I will see you tomorrow.